The long winter is finally over in the Yukon. The snow is melting, the ground is waking up, and engines are rumbling back to life. The miners of Gold Rush are returning to their claims, ready to chase the dream that drives them year after year: gold. But this season isn't like the ones before. This is season 16, and it begins with more energy, more drama, and more ambition than ever. The first episode, called Records Will Be Broken, sets the stage for a season where every miner is pushing themselves harder than they ever have. Parker Schnabel, Tony Beets, Rick Ness, and Kevin Beets are all back, each with their own goals, struggles, and determination to make this year the best one yet. The Yukon is harsh, the clock is ticking, and the stakes are sky high. Everyone knows that one mistake can destroy a season, and one smart move can make a fortune. For Parker Schnabel, this season is all about one number: 10,000 ounces. That's the goal he has set for himself. 10,000 ounces of gold in one single season. It's a huge target, even for someone like Parker, who is known for breaking limits and chasing impossible numbers. But Parker isn't the type to play it safe. After years of building his operation into one of the biggest in the Yukon, he wants to go even further. He wants to prove to himself and to everyone watching that he can reach a level no one thought possible. From the start, Parker's determination is clear. He's focused, sharp, and not afraid to make bold moves. But bold moves often come with risk, and this time he's already caused a stir before the first shovel hits the ground. News spreads quickly through the Klondike that Parker has hired a key worker from another miner's crew. It's a controversial decision that could spark new rivalries and test old friendships. Some call it smart business. Others see it as crossing the line. But Parker doesn't care what people think. For him, success comes first. He'll do whatever it takes to reach that 10,000-ounce goal. However, his season doesn't start smoothly. During the long Yukon winter, one of his main cuts flooded and then froze solid. When Parker arrives, he finds the gold-rich pay dirt buried under 3 feet of thick ice. Before he can even start mining, he has to clear it all out. The scene is tough. Machines working nonstop, frozen piles of ice being hauled out one after another. Tyson's crew, who handle some of Parker's heaviest work, are already pushing hard. Tyson is in the 250 excavator, Michael in the 390, and both are battling the frozen mess. Frustration builds as they realize how bad it really is. Tyson looks at the massive job ahead and shakes his head. "How are we going to do all this in a week?" he asks. Parker shows up to check progress, and the news isn't good. The ice is thicker than expected and unstable. Removing it safely will take much longer than planned. Tyson explains that they're hauling load after load, but progress is slow. Parker listens, but he's not happy. He wants more trucks, more help, more speed. But there's nothing extra to spare. Everyone's already stretched thin. Every lost hour eats into their short mining season. Parker knows it, and his patience wears thin. He finally says what everyone is thinking. "We don't have time to waste money trucking ice, but we don't have a choice." The faster they can clear the cut and start running pay dirt through the wash plant, the better chance they have to hit that massive goal. For now, it's all about survival. Keep the crew motivated, keep the machines running, and break through the ice before time runs out. Meanwhile, about 10 miles south at Indian River, Tony Beets is already weeks ahead of the competition. While other miners are still fighting frozen ground, Tony and his crew are already mining. That's the Beets way. No delays, no waiting. Tony believes in moving fast and working hard. His target this year is the Early Bird Cut, a 13-acre stretch of ground that looks rich and ready to deliver. With gold prices holding high, Tony's strategy is simple: start early, mine fast, and cash in before anyone else can catch up. It's that fearless mindset that's carried Tony through more than 40 years in the Yukon. He and his wife Minnie came to Canada from the Netherlands with almost nothing, just a few $100s and a dream. Decades later, that dream became a $60 million mining empire. But it wasn't always easy. 2 years ago, Tony nearly lost it all. His business fell deep into debt, $6 to $7 million, and his family relationships were breaking apart. Arguments over money, equipment, and control threatened everything he'd built. Some family members even said he was running the whole operation into the ground. It was one of the hardest times of Tony's life. But true to his character, Tony never gave up. He fought his way back. He repaired his business, rebuilt his trust with his kids, and came back stronger. Now the Beats family is more united than ever. Mike and Monica work side by side with him, keeping operations running smoothly. And Kevin, his son, has stepped up to lead his own mining site. The Beats legacy is alive and thriving. Last season, Tony's team pulled in an incredible 5,700 ounces of gold, worth more than $14 million, one of the best seasons they've ever had. But Tony doesn't like to look back. He doesn't celebrate for long. This isn't the time to sit back, he says. It's the time to get your act together and make things happen. You owe that to the next generation. For Tony, gold is not just about money. It's about family. It's about proving that hard work and loyalty still matter. He says, people can have money, people can have things, but if you don't have your kids and grandkids, you don't have much at all. His family stands as proof that success means more when it's shared. While Parker and Tony are busy battling their own challenges, Rick Ness is facing a very different fight. He's been through rough times. The past few years have been filled with setbacks, financial struggles, equipment problems, and personal challenges that nearly drove him out of the mining game. But now, Rick is back, determined to turn things around. He knows the odds are against him. Most of the best ground in the Yukon is already claimed, and his funds are limited. His crew is smaller, and morale is shaky. Still, Rick refuses to give up. He's searching for new ground, new hope, and one more chance to prove he still belongs among the best. Rick Ness knows that this season might be his last real chance to prove himself. For years, he's been chasing the dream of building his own successful mining operation. He's had great seasons, and he's had failures that almost broke him. But Rick has always been a fighter. The Yukon is in his blood now. He's not here for fame or cameras. He's here because this is where he feels alive. When Rick steps onto his claim at the start of the season, the ground is still hard, the air still cold. His machines have been sitting idle through the long winter, and his crew moves slowly, shaking off the frost of another off-season. You can see the worry on his face. His equipment is old, his budget is thin, and his crew is smaller than he'd like. But there's a fire in his eyes, that stubborn will to make something out of nothing. Rick knows that one good season could change everything. This year, his plan is simple. Find ground that others have overlooked. While Parker and Tony chase massive numbers, Rick just wants stability. A chance to rebuild and show that he can still bring in gold. But finding new ground in the Yukon isn't easy. The best claims are already owned by the big players, and the few that remain are risky and unproven. Still, Rick is ready to gamble. You can't find gold if you don't dig, he says, as he looks out across the frozen valley. He's betting on instinct, experience, and a little bit of luck. For Rick, this isn't just a mining season. It's a comeback story. His crew may be smaller, but they believe in him. They've seen him push through impossible odds before. They know that when Rick's back is against the wall, that's when he fights the hardest. The first few days are rough. The machines break down, the pay dirt is scarce, and the fuel costs are eating into his already thin budget. But Rick keeps going. He reminds his team that every season starts slow. You can't rush gold, he tells them. You just keep moving until you hit it. Meanwhile, in another corner of the Yukon, A new kind of pressure is building. The pressure of legacy. Kevin Beats, Tony's son, is stepping into his second year as a mine boss. Last season, he learned the hard way how tough it is to lead. Machines broke down, workers got frustrated, and there were moments when everything seemed to fall apart. But those lessons shaped him. Now, Kevin is back with more confidence, more focus, and a clear goal: to prove he's not just Tony's son, but a leader in his own right. Kevin knows that being a Beats means carrying a heavy name. His father has been a legend in the Klondike for decades, and people expect the same level of success from him. But Kevin wants to do more than just copy Tony's style. He wants to find his own way. This year, he's determined to show that he can manage a crew, handle breakdowns, and make smart decisions under pressure. He knows that every ounce of gold he pulls from the ground will earn him more respect from his crew, from his family, and from himself. The season starts strong for Kevin. His crew moves quickly, the machines run smoothly, and the first cleanup brings hope. But everyone in the Yukon knows that good luck doesn't last forever. The weather changes fast, the equipment always finds a way to break, and even the best plans can fall apart in a heartbeat. When one of Kevin's main pumps fails and production slows to a crawl, he faces his first real test of the year. Instead of calling for his father's help, Kevin decides to handle it himself. He gathers his crew, explains the problem, and gets his hands dirty alongside them. Hours later, the machine roars back to life, and the pay dirt starts moving again. It's a small victory, but it means everything. Kevin smiles, knowing he's earned that win on his own. Back on Parker's claim, the battle with the frozen cut continues. The days are long, and the stress is building. Tyson and his crew are exhausted, working from dawn until past sunset. The ice doesn't give up easily. Every load they haul out seems to reveal even more frozen ground beneath it. Parker keeps pushing, watching the clock, knowing that every day of delay costs him money. But deep down, he respects his crew's effort. They're fighting a brutal enemy, time, and they're doing it with everything they've got. Finally, after days of grueling work, the ice is cleared, and the first pay dirt starts to move toward the wash plant. The roar of the machinery fills the air, a sound every miner loves. Parker watches the first gold flakes appear in the sluice box, and for a brief moment, he smiles. The season has officially begun, but he knows this is just the start. 10,000 ounces is still a long way off, and the challenges are only going to get tougher. At Indian River, Tony Beats is doing what he does best, mining non-stop. His operation runs like a machine. Trucks, excavators, and conveyors move in perfect rhythm. Years of experience have taught Tony that the key to success is consistency. Every hour of uptime counts. Every mistake costs. He keeps a close eye on everything, from the flow of pay dirt to the smallest mechanical detail. And when something goes wrong, Tony doesn't shout, he fixes it. His crew respects him not just because he's the boss, but because he's always there, working as hard as anyone else. Tony's philosophy is simple. You can't control luck, but you can control effort. It's that mindset that made him a legend in the Yukon. But even legends face new challenges.
Parts are harder to find, fuel prices are climbing, and the costs of running multiple sites are higher than ever. Still, Tony doesn't slow down. He knows that mining is a game of endurance. The ones who last are the ones who keep moving, no matter how hard it gets. As the season begins to take shape, all four miners, Parker, Tony, Rick, and Kevin, find themselves locked in a silent competition. They might not say it out loud, but each of them wants to be the one who ends the season on top. Each wants to break records, pull the most gold, and earn the respect that comes with victory. But the Yukon has a way of humbling even the best. Storms can roll in overnight, machines can fail without warning, and good ground can turn bad in a single day. Out here, nature makes the rules, and the miners can only adapt. By the end of the first week, tension is already high across the camps. Parker's crew is behind schedule, Tony's working around the clock, Rick's running low on fuel, Kevin's learning that leadership means carrying the weight of every problem. The Yukon isn't giving anyone an easy start. But that's what makes Gold Rush so real. The struggle, the risk, and the raw human drive to keep going when everything seems against you. As the first week of mining comes to a close, Parker Schnabel knows the pressure is only going to increase. The ice that slowed him at the start is finally cleared, but now the real work begins. Every load of dirt he moves is a step toward his 10,000-ounce goal, and he knows there's no room for mistakes. Parker is not just thinking about mining, he's thinking about strategy. He needs his crew to be faster, smarter, and more efficient than ever before. Any delay could put him behind Tony, who has already pulled ahead in production. Parker begins to make bold moves. He calls in additional equipment from neighboring operations and reorganizes his crew to maximize output. It's a risky strategy. Moving machines around costs money, and the extra hours put strain on his workers. But Parker believes in pushing limits. He knows that gold doesn't wait, and neither does the competition. Every day counts, and every ounce that flows through the wash plant brings him closer to his dream. Tyson, Parker's lead operator, feels the pressure too. The 250 and 390 excavators are running non-stop, hauling frozen dirt, managing the ice, and keeping the wash
Plant going is exhausting work. Tyson has faced tough seasons before, but this one feels different. The pace is relentless, and the crew can see that Parker won't accept excuses. Still, they trust him. They know his drive is contagious and that the hard work will pay off if they stick together. Meanwhile, Tony Beets is encountering a different set of challenges. The early bird cut looked perfect at first, but the ground has its own surprises. Hidden rocks, unexpected layers of clay, and shifting soil are slowing the excavation. Tony knows that time is money. Every delay reduces the chances of finishing strong. He's been through the Yukon enough times to know that the smallest problem can turn into a season-ending disaster. Still, he remains calm. Tony understands that experience and patience are as important as speed. His crew works efficiently, following his lead, moving dirt, separating gold, and keeping the operation running smoothly. Tony also keeps an eye on his family. Mike, Monica, and Kevin each have their roles, and Tony watches how they handle challenges. He knows that training the next generation is part of his legacy. Kevin, in particular, has stepped into his second season with confidence, but Tony watches closely. Every decision Kevin makes, every adjustment to the machines, every interaction with the crew shows whether he's ready to handle leadership under pressure. At Rick Ness's claim, the struggle is even more intense. The machines are older, the budget is tighter, and the stakes feel higher than ever. Rick knows that he can't compete directly with Parker or Tony in raw output. He has to be smarter, faster, and more resourceful. This means finding untouched ground, focusing on hidden pockets of gold, and making every ounce count. Rick's crew is loyal, but they're tired, frustrated, and worried about the season ahead. Rick steps up, encouraging them, sharing in the work, and pushing them to keep moving despite the setbacks. His determination is inspiring, but it's clear that the road ahead will be grueling. Parker isn't just focused on his own claim. He's keeping a close eye on Tony. He knows that Tony's experience and efficiency make him a formidable rival. To stay ahead, Parker starts thinking strategically about talent. Recruiting key workers from other crews gives him an edge, but it also creates tension. The Yukon is small, and everyone knows everyone else. Stealing a top worker can spark rivalries that last all season.
Understands this.
but he's willing to take the risk. His eyes are set on the prize, and no rivalry or criticism will stop him. The crews are also dealing with the environment. The Yukon is beautiful, but unforgiving. Sudden storms, deep mud, and freezing nights slow progress. Equipment breaks down when it's needed most, and even minor mistakes can cost hours of precious work. Parker, Tony, Kevin, and Rick all know that surviving these conditions is as important as finding gold. This isn't just a competition, it's a battle against nature itself. Kevin Beats faces a moment of truth during the first week. One of his key machines breaks down, halting the flow of pay dirt. His crew looks to him for guidance. Kevin doesn't panic. He assesses the problem, reallocates his resources, and gets the operation moving again. It's a small victory, but it's significant. For Kevin, moments like this define his leadership. He's learning that success is not just about finding gold, but about keeping the team moving when everything goes wrong. As the season progresses, the competition between Parker and Tony intensifies. Parker pushes harder, running longer shifts, moving more dirt, and aiming to outpace Tony. Tony responds with efficiency, experience, and relentless focus. Every day, the crews watch each other, measuring progress and anticipating moves. This rivalry isn't just personal, it's a driving force that pushes everyone to give their absolute best. Rick Ness, meanwhile, is finding opportunities in overlooked areas. He discovers small but rich pockets of gold that others have ignored. While Parker and Tony chase large-scale production, Rick focuses on quality and careful strategy. It's slower work, but every ounce he finds could make a difference. His approach is risky. If the small pockets run out too quickly, he could fall behind entirely. But Rick is used to taking risks. He knows that fortune favors those willing to work harder, smarter, and longer than anyone else. Back on Parker's claim, the ice and frozen ground are finally behind him. The wash plant is running full force and gold is flowing. But Parker isn't satisfied. He continues to push for higher output, longer hours, and perfect execution. Every crew member feels the intensity, and the stakes are clear. Success or failure will be decided in
coming weeks. Tony's crew also sees results. Early production is strong, and gold is accumulating. But Tony knows better than anyone that the Yukon is unpredictable. One storm, one breakdown, or one mistake can undo days of work. He keeps his crew motivated, reminding them that persistence is key. Gold is not given, it's earned through sweat, patience, and focus. By the end of the first 10 days, each miner has a sense of where they stand. Parker is pushing hard and setting an aggressive pace. Tony is steady, experienced, and efficient. Rick is strategic, determined, and resourceful. Kevin is growing as a leader, proving that he can carry the Beats' legacy into the future. The Yukon has already tested them, and it will continue to do so. The first episode of Season 16 has shown that gold is never easy, and every ounce comes with risk, effort, and tough decisions. The tension is palpable across the camps. Rivalries are heating up. Alliances may form or break, depending on how each miner handles the challenges ahead. Equipment will fail, machines will need repairs, crews will get exhausted, and the clock will continue to tick. Every decision could lead to fortune or failure. Midway through the first week, the Yukon shows no mercy. The weather turns cold again, and unexpected snowfall slows progress across all claims. For Parker Schnabel, this is another obstacle in his already aggressive plan. He has cleared the initial ice, but the ground beneath still holds challenges. Frozen pockets of dirt slow the wash plant, and the crew has to work overtime just to keep up with production. Parker knows that any delay could allow Tony to pull further ahead, so he doubles down, pushing machinery and manpower to the limit. Tyson and Michael, his key operators, are exhausted but determined. They know Parker's dream of 10,000 ounces depends on their effort. Every hour counts, and they face constant mechanical failures that must be fixed on the spot. Trucks break down, engines overheat, and hoses freeze. But the crew adapts. They move faster, work smarter, and learn to anticipate problems before they happen. The tension is